USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 24-17 loss to Notre Dame. It's USC's first losing season since 2000. And Dan, this game was actually promising in the beginning. It looked like USC actually came out with some fight and some life, but ultimately the problems that have plagued USC all season long really caught up to them in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, they did make it through the first half, leading 10-7. Now, you could have said, man, they could have been up 17-0. They didn't have to give up that score, and they, had a couple of fumbles, at least one that certainly cost them, two of them in the red zone, and cost them the opportunity anyway. And you would have liked to have seen them have that kind of cushion going into the second half, because again, they had another scoreless third period, which is fourth or fifth time this year they haven't scored in the third period. I think they average 4 points third period. So that's going to come with a young team, and they do seem to get themselves kind of in trouble one way or the other, penalties or lack of discipline or the turnovers, and they didn't have enough cushion to ride out. I mean, to hold Notre Dame to 24 points. I mean, that was a really good effort. A couple of big breakdowns, but basically a really good effort when you think of how badly they played on defense last week. That was a big. And we're asking the kids. Said, there's not much difference between you guys and Notre Dame. They're 12-0. You're 5-7. What's going on here? And they give you that look like, I wish we knew. Yeah. But when you look at that, how much difference was there between 5-7 USC and the 12-0 Notre Dame team? Except Notre Dame doesn't make the crucial mistakes, and they made some good adjustments and played just well enough to win.
Yeah, USC, after stubbornly trying to be a run-first offense all season long, kind of went with an air raid in this game. U.S. running back Cedric Ware, is that something USC should have been doing all season long? And what do you have to say?
Well, he got a big smile on his face as a running back, and pretty much admitted it really worked. And this is what we do well. And JT asked JT Daniels, and of course he loved it, but he said, it plays to my strengths. Well, man, that sounds like a really good idea when you're game planning, to say, what do our guys do well? Maybe we ought to game plan to that. For all the people that, were on JT's case, he showed you tonight what kind of quarterback he can be. And he's just he does some things really well, and USC's got wide receivers I thought that were significantly better than the Notre Dame defensive backs, and without a couple of mistakes and some penalties, USC scores enough to make this really, really interesting. But they, again, as Clay said, we're putting up a lot of yards, not putting up a lot of points.
Yeah.
We're stopping ourselves. And you win games with points, not with 450 yards of offense against Notre Dame. Pretty darn good. 17 points, not good enough.
Yeah. You already mentioned the defensive performance. I thought it was an impressive performance given the fact that they were out with John Houston, Marvell Tell, and C.J. Pollard. At one point, USC actually had a walk-on at the safety position. So it was, all things considered, indicative of the season as a whole. Very battered and bruised defense that put up a fight.
Yeah, walk-on Jordan McMillan, who got an interception in the end zone. So pretty good job, by him. And they've liked him, and they really, I think he's a Loyola kid here in L.A. I think he's good enough for a scholarship. They've been talking about him. He looks like he is. But that gives you an idea of the depth of talent here, that they do have people that can step in and play with all the guys that are out. And, standing there toe-to-toe with Notre Dame. I mean, that was really impressive in so many ways. It was another game where it's like it doesn't matter who they're playing. They kind of figure out a way in the second half especially to not quite get the job done. I mean, that's 4 losses by 7 points or less in the last 5 weeks. And, what if you turn those things around? I mean, Where do they end up? They're 9-3. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. As far as the defense goes, Christian Rector actually said after the game it was encouraging. The injuries were a positive thing in a way because they got so many young players in to get significant playing time. So it's encouraging for the future at least. But I actually got to talk to Cam Smith after the game, after his presser with Clay Helton, and he was more candid than we're used to hearing from him. And that's what happens when you're a senior and you played your last game. He said that there was a commitment issue this season with the team. He said that it varied between players, but in LA it's easy to get distracted, and that happened with some of the team. I asked him, do you think there was a buy-in problem this season? And he said, you don't go 5-7 without a buy-in problem. So what do you take from that candidness from Cam?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of immaturity, and I think Cam tried to kind of fill in the leadership void.
Yeah.
And I think he was, from, the very beginning, from the summer, you could tell that he was, really worried about bringing guys along and to use a better, another word for it, babysitting a little bit. He shouldn't have to be doing that. So I think they got to figure out a way. I mean, I think, I don't know that Cam Smith should have to be doing that. I would think, the coaches should have to be doing that, and that they let this team kind of get away. I mean, tonight they really did play for everybody. Everybody played for one another, and I thought they pulled together really well. This was very impressive in a lot of ways, but again, it's another L. And when you've got an opportunity to knock off somebody like Notre Dame, you just have to go ahead and do it. And they just couldn't quite make it happen. And it's kind of the story of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, but again, it's happened against UCLA, against Cal. I mean, this is a team, USC last week gave up 289 yards to one running back for UCLA. Tonight, they're going against a really good Notre Dame team with a really, really good, big, strong running back in Dexter Williams and a quarterback with all kinds of athleticism. And they hung in there. I mean, give them credit. A breakdown here or there, but what a difference. Had they played this game, for example, last week, that game's not close.
Or against Cal.
Or against Cal, or against Arizona State. Those games are not close. So you kind of got to pick your spots, and you can't just kind of say, well, we did this well or we did that well. Yeah, we didn't win, but no, that's not good enough.
Yeah. As for the bigger picture that I know everyone is probably wondering about, Clay Helton, what does this mean for his job going forward? Some reporters actually caught up with athletic director Lynn Swann towards the end of the game, and he said that he has a plan in place and that we will find out soon. Clay Helton, for his part, sounds like he's coming back. He talked in his post-game presser like he is coming back. But if you're Lynn Swann, that wasn't exactly a vote of confidence for Helton at the end of the game.
No, I mean, I think Clay's saying, as far as he knows, he's coming back.
Yeah.
No one has told him he's coming back, but no one's told him he isn't coming back. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he's going to, recruit starting tomorrow, and yet he's also having to figure out where do they get the discipline, and where do they get rid of all these mistakes, and how do they do that? We don't seem to have a good answer there. His recruiting answer is we got to replace the guys that are leaving. As far as the discipline, the mistakes, the penalties, don't have a good answer there. I'm thinking he's hoping they outgrow him or whatever. But he certainly talked as if. And what else can you do if you haven't been told you're not coming back? Then you got to proceed as if you're coming back.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it is. And players said. Didn't talk about it. Nobody's talked to them about it. I'm struck by the fact that Lynn would say it the way he did, that he has a plan in place and he will, tell Clay, when the time is right. And, we've certainly heard enough, we've got enough reporting that there have been an awful lot of things going on this week at USC with people who are really concerned about things like crowd tonight, 59,000, and a whole lot of those were Notre Dame fans.
Yeah.
59,000 for the number 3 team in the country in this series that, was drawing 120,000 people in 1927. That was worrisome, that USC didn't get a single crowd into the 60,000 this year. That's a very worrisome thing. That's not going to get the job done for USC, and that you're trying to keep people happy with the the new renovations, and yet you're moving an awful lot of people, and there's a lot of things to be unhappy about right now at USC. And is keeping the coaching staff in place that just gave you a 5-7 season, is that the way to go? There are a lot of people who think it's not the way to go. How that plays out with Lynn and with the the current administration at USC, all the reporting you do, you get just as many people saying it's going to go one way and just as many people saying it's going to go the other way. And you got a lot of people on the inside who believe, that how they see it is correct. The more you report on it, the more all you know is, boy, there are a lot of people going either direction. Who's going to win this battle, by the time we're out of here? And I don't think we know. I mean, my indications would be that the people who are feeling like they can't take any more chances, that it's got to go in a different direction with the coaching staff, have more bullets and more ammunition, but I don't know.
I mean, the problem with the first-time athletic director is that you don't really know the next moves he will make. If you had to give a guess of your gut feel, Dan, what do you think happens next?
I mean, I think the problem is I'm not sure first-time athletic directors know what they're going to do either. I mean, that's part of the problem. And Lynn isn't a big share for, in terms of his feelings and what he's thinking. And people don't exactly know what kind of information he takes in and processes and how he makes decisions. I don't think we know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Clay knows, and he meets with him, every week. So, I mean, I think he's got a lot of information and push from people who think you can't wait another year, that it's too important, that you're going to, potentially you lose a recruiting class, that it doesn't look like the answers are there, and that somebody could come in and, turn it around fairly quickly with the young talent, which is all these kids talk about.
Yeah.
The guys, seniors leaving, all are saying, man, I think they could be really good. I mean, I think they'd have a chance to, win the Pac-12 next year if they put it all together. You win the Pac-12, you got a chance to go on. And can they take a chance not to do that with what's happened this year? I mean, the lack of discipline, the inability to kind of know who you are, how you should win football games, what you need to do, that just wasn't obvious that they really understood that. And can you take another year and say, boy, I hope they get it right this year? I mean, that's one of the problems with this staff and this year's program is there's a lot of hope. I hope we get this out. I hope they figure it out. I hope it goes well. Instead of what you have to do is make it go well, make it go right. You have to make them stop the mistakes. You have to make your offense work, and we're not seeing that as much. And I know Aka Cedric said their practice were more intense. He wanted them to be, and I think for some of those guys like Aka Cedric and Vavai, they practice really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, but you need everybody practicing really hard. And, credit to Ced. He did a wonderful job. And what a great, credit to this program. If everybody practices as hard as Ced and Vavai, they're in good shape. Although you kind of need the coaches to be demanding that kind of discipline in practice and that kind of mistake-free practices and all that. And we just haven't seen that.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that there will be no postseason for this USC team or for USC in general. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up for the last time this season?
Yeah, hard to believe there won't be a Sunday conference call. I mean, there won't be, that this is ending like this. It's just, it is really hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
It's just like that this is it, this is over, that they don't have any, anything else. There are 78 teams that are playing in bowl games, and USC is not going to be one of them. I mean, that's just impossible. I mean, you've got the fourth best roster in the country, according to the 24/7 rankings, and you're not, on the outside looking in. I mean, that's crazy, and it's almost you almost can't figure it out. I mean, we haven't gotten anybody. They can describe what they did but why they did it, why it happened, and how they fix it, we really haven't gotten anybody to say that yet. And that worries you a little bit. We can all define what happened and talk about the mistakes, the penalties, all these other things. That doesn't matter. What matters is, how do you fix it? How do you get it better? How do you change it? And you've got a program where change is not a good word. Change is kind of like, no, we don't change. We know what we're... Now, they obviously changed today for this game. Their offensive game plan changed. Looked a whole lot better. Still have the same mistakes, though. So going forward, how do you go forward? How do you know what to do going forward? I'll be interested to see how this decision comes down and where Lynn ends up on it.
Yep, I would be too. But that's going to wrap it up for tonight and for the 2018 season. Thank you guys so much for watching us. We enjoy giving you these reports every practice and game, so we definitely appreciate you. It seems like this won't be it, though, so stay tuned. We'll be back, of course, and of course there's early signing day on December 19th, so stay tuned for that. But for Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.